What if the very habit you were taught to trust is silently keeping you small, cautious, and confined, while others who ignore it rise effortlessly into abundance? From childhood, the world whispered the same gentle command: work hard, earn honestly, save faithfully, and someday you will be safe. That whisper sounded wise, almost sacred, and it wrapped itself around the mind like a comforting blanket. Yet comfort is often the enemy of expansion. The law of life is not stagnation, but movement, and money, like energy, must circulate to grow. The soul that clings tightly to coins, out of fear, unknowingly declares a belief in limitation, and life, obedient to belief, reflects that limitation back. Florence Scovel. Shin taught that the unseen governs the seen, and the thoughts we hold about money become the conditions we experience. When one believes that saving alone is security, one unconsciously affirms that there is never enough, that loss is always near, and that survival is the highest aim. A salary, often praised as stability, can quietly become a cage made of routine and predictability. It trains the mind to wait, to depend, to measure life by hours traded rather than value created. The paycheck arrives, disappears into bills, and returns again, repeating the cycle until years vanish. This pattern is not punishment, but correspondence, for life mirrors inner conviction. The individual who believes wealth must come only from labor binds wealth to exhaustion, and exhaustion rarely produces freedom. Rich consciousness operates differently. It understands that money responds to command, not to pleading, and that ideas are the true source of increase. When the inner economy is aligned with abundance, outer channels appear effortlessly, sometimes mysteriously. Many sincere people save diligently, yet remain anxious, because saving without expansion is like storing water in a sealed jar while the well remains untapped. The jar may offer temporary relief, but it cannot quench the thirst of destiny. Fear-based saving tightens the nerves and sharpens scarcity thinking, while inspired investment, guided by intuition and intelligence, signals trust in divine supply. Shin emphasized that faith is not blind hope, but confident expectation. When one expects increase, opportunities rush forward to fulfill that expectation. When one expects loss, even savings leak away through unforeseen expenses. Money obeys the law of belief with perfect accuracy. The rich understand this inner law, even if they never name it. They know that debt, when used wisely, is not a curse but a lever, and that taxes, when understood, are not chains but tools. They do not worship money, nor do they fear it. They command it as a servant, directing it into systems that multiply while they sleep. This mastery begins not in bank accounts, but in consciousness. The entrepreneur's mind asks different questions, seeks leverage instead of labor, and listens for inspired ideas rather than social approval. Yet here lies the great suspense of life. The same world that rewards bold faith punishes reckless ignorance. The line between expansion and collapse is drawn by awareness, discipline, and alignment with higher law. Many stand at this invisible crossroads, unaware that one belief will keep them circling forever, while another will open doors they never imagined existed. There comes a moment when the soul grows restless with repetition, sensing that the old formulas no longer yield peace or progress, and this unease is not accidental but divinely appointed. It is the inner voice urging expansion beyond inherited beliefs. Florence Scovel Shin revealed that man's supply is inexhaustible when he aligns thought with divine intelligence. Yet most people attempt to solve financial challenges using the same thinking that created them. They save harder, work longer, and worry more, never realizing that worry itself blocks the channels of increase. Anxiety is a confession of fear, and fear announces to life that one expects lack. Life, obedient and impartial, responds accordingly. The rich mindset replaces anxiety with understanding, for understanding dissolves fear. When one comprehends that money is an effect, not a cause, the chase ends and mastery begins. Debt, so often labeled as danger, becomes in enlightened hands a bridge rather than a burden. The difference lies not in the numbers, but in the consciousness directing them. Borrowing for consumption tightens the knot of dependency, while borrowing for creation loosens it. The individual who uses leverage to build systems, acquire assets, or amplify ideas is not enslaved by debt, but empowered by it. This principle shocks the traditional mind because it contradicts moral conditioning, yet spiritual law is not bound by tradition. It responds to clarity, intention, and faith. Taxes follow the same unseen law. Those who understand the structure of money flow arrange their affairs so that contributions to society are strategic rather than destructive. They do not resist the system emotionally. They study it intelligently. Resistance drains energy, but understanding redirects it. At the center of all wealth is the internal economy, the private kingdom of thought, belief, and expectation. When this inner economy is disordered, no external success can remain stable. Money may arrive suddenly, but it departs just as quickly, seeking a consciousness that can hold it. Shin taught that whatever is impressed upon the subconscious must manifest, whether wisely chosen or carelessly accepted. Therefore, the entrepreneur's true work is inner alignment before outer action. Inspired ideas arise only in a mind free from fear and resentment. When one blesses money instead of condemning it, money blesses that one in return. Gratitude acts as a magnet, drawing opportunities from directions unseen. Yet here the tension deepens, for many stand on the edge of change and retreat at the first sign of uncertainty. The comfort of the familiar pulls harder than the promise of the unknown. Faith demands movement before evidence appears, and this is where most journeys end prematurely. The unseen test arrives quietly. Will one act on inner guidance or retreat to old habits? Life waits for the answer. The moment courage aligns with intuition, doors open with astonishing speed. People appear, resources align, and timing becomes precise. This is not luck, but law in motion. Those who persist experience a profound shift, realizing that money was never the goal, but freedom of expression and service. And yet, even as this truth reveals itself, another question hovers in the air, unresolved and pressing. Will the listener dare to reorganize the inner economy, or return once more to the false safety of saving without growth? The final awakening comes when one realizes that wealth is not accumulated by hoarding fragments of the past, but by aligning with the flow of the present moment. Saving money without vision is an act rooted in yesterday, while creating value is an act rooted in now. Life never rewards hesitation disguised as prudence. It rewards clarity, faith, and decisive action inspired by inner guidance. Florence Scovel Shinn reminded that the universe is a lavish giver, but it cannot fill a clenched fist. Only the open hand receives. When the mind releases fear and embraces expectancy, supply rushes forward in forms perfectly suited to one's purpose. The individual who trusts divine intelligence no longer asks, "How will I survive?" but instead declares, "I move under perfect guidance, and my supply meets me at every step." This declaration, when believed, reshapes destiny. True wealth is governed by law, not luck. The law responds instantly to conviction. When a person stops identifying as a worker waiting for wages and begins identifying as a creator of value, the world responds differently. Ideas arrive with clarity, courage strengthens resolve, and action becomes effortless rather than forced. The internal economy stabilizes, and external finances follow suit. Money flows towards usefulness, confidence, and vision. It avoids fear, confusion, and resentment. This is why some struggle endlessly, while others prosper with apparent ease. Ease is not laziness, it is alignment. When thought, emotion, and action move in harmony, resistance dissolves. The suspense of life resolves itself the moment a decision is made. Indecision fractures energy, but decision concentrates it. The one who decides to think richly, act wisely, and trust unfailingly crosses an invisible threshold. Beyond it, old rules lose power. The belief that a salary is safety fades, replaced by the understanding that adaptability is security. The belief that saving alone ensures survival dissolves, replaced by faith in constant renewal. Even mistakes transform into stepping stones, because fear no longer magnifies them. Instead of asking permission from circumstance, the aligned mind commands circumstance to cooperate. As the internal economy prospers, generosity naturally follows, for abundance seeks expression. Giving is no longer sacrifice, but circulation. Money sent forth with joy returns multiplied, because it carries no trace of fear. This is the divine arithmetic that defies human logic, yet governs all true prosperity. When one serves life through inspired action, life serves back through unlimited channels. The struggle ends not because effort disappears, but because effort aligns with purpose. Work becomes expression rather than endurance. Wealth becomes a tool rather than a test. Now the path stands clear. One direction leads back to familiar habits, comforting yet constricting. The other leads forward into conscious creation, where faith replaces fear and understanding replaces anxiety. Life responds instantly to the choice made in silence. The law has never failed, and it never will. Those who dare to think differently are rewarded differently. Those who command money instead of fearing it discover that supply was always waiting, just beyond the old belief. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.